Week 8.
All right, thank you very much for coming out today. The topic of today's speech is going to be bomb trains. So what comes to your mind when I say bomb trains?
Bombs and trains. Right?
Bombs and trains, okay, yeah, good one. We're looking right at Bakken crude transportation over rail, okay? Bomb trains is probably a term you may have heard over the news or on social media. It seems to be a large topic because there have been several large incidents dealing with trains of Bakken crude oil having and leading to major incidents across North America. The increase in transportation, in 2008 they measured 9,500 rail cars of Bakken crude oil going through the United States. By 2013 there was over 400,000 rail cars of Bakken crude traveling through the United States, so a huge increase in a short period of time. Right now 70 to 80 trains every week go through Pennsylvania. Each train can have up to 100 or more rail cars with Bakken crude on it, and each rail car can have 30,000 gallons of Bakken crude on it. Okay, so a lot of flow going through the area. Emergency situations, including major leaks, significant fires have occurred and affected communities on a large scale, even in areas of Pennsylvania. There are many reasons of the derailments, but the main thing that's clear is the volatile nature of the product, causing major incidents and almost guaranteed to have fires when there is a release of it. Our society is largely dependent upon the crude oil, so it's not like it's going to go away in the near future. The problem we're having right now is the production is outrunning the pipeline capacity. In 2013 there was 505,000 barrels transported under crude. In that same year there was 900,000 transported over rail. So it's really outrunning the capacity to be taken through pipelines. The history of Bakken crude oil started in the 50s in North Dakota. Basically, it didn't go into large scale production until 2007 when they found the partial oil fields. So it really ramped up starting after 2007. Crude oil is used for, 50% of it is used for gasoline, 40% of it is used for jet fuel, heating fuel, and diesel fuel, and 10% of it is for residual oils. Also, with other formations being found, not only are they coming just from North Dakota, but they're also coming from areas like New Mexico, Colorado, Texas. So we're not only having it come from the Northeast or the Southwest, it's basically going directly across the country to get to unloading areas. So it's heading basically in all directions across the country. Rail transportation isn't as safe as pipeline, even though rail transportation right now is the safest it's ever been. The boom in oil and gas have helped refineries also, and the rail industry grow in Pennsylvania. So as far as economic growth, it is a help. The hazardous properties of Bakken crude oil, some of the things that make it dangerous are it has the potential for having a flash point below 73 degrees. And what that means, if you're not hazmat inclined, some of you are, if you're not hazmat inclined, it means that even if the product is below 73 degrees, it is putting off enough vapors that if there's an ignition source, it could flash across and cause a major fire. It also contains benzene, which is highly flammable and also a carcinogen. And it also even has a low regulatory limit of 1 part per million with the vapors in air for an exposure rate for the average healthy adult. So you're talking 1 part per million in air is a permissible exposure limit that you can't get above if you're an average healthy adult. When we talk about incidents, what incidents have occurred in Canada? It's the Limigantic disaster in Canada in 2013. It was a large release and fire and explosion. It killed 47 people and also damaged or destroyed over 30 buildings. We had January 2014, New Augusta, Mississippi, Canadian National Railway train derailed and spilled 90,000 gallons of product into the environment. April 24th, Lynchburg, Virginia, CSX train derails, causes a fire and a 200-foot fireball into the air and also caused the evacuation of 300 people. Bucks County is an example of a total population of 625,000 just in the immediate evacuation areas for rail. it would affect somewhere in the neighborhood of 27,000 people. So we have 27,000 people just in Bucks County that live in potential impact areas for crude over rail transportation. Means to mitigate the hazard. How are we moving forward to make this better as far as transportation and safety is concerned? The U.S. Department of Transportation's Pipeline and Hazardous Material Safety Association in July 7th of 2015 enacted new regulations to put into effect stricter rail car standards for construction, not only for new construction, but also retroactive to rail cars that are already out in the field to be updated. They also did a thing where they select the train routes by a risk evaluation. There's a 27-point checklist that they do a risk evaluation to actually see what rail lines the Bakken crude should travel over to be going through the safest areas. They also reduce the speed for, they call these high flammable potential trains. If it is a high flammable potential train, they reduce the speed limit to 50 miles per hour in all areas. So if you have that traveling as part of a train, it can't exceed a 50 mile per hour speed limit in any area. Okay. One thing they also enacted was for the rail cars to have a enhanced braking system. It is electronic over-air braking system. They say it's going to make things more effective. Norfolk Southern and CSX at this point aren't happy with that. They don't think that it is a proven safety standard. And they also say, of course, it's very cost prohibitive to put those types of systems on every single rail car. Governor Wolf actually just appointed somebody, Dr. Alan Zembrowski, to go through and do a report on how this is going to affect the population of Pennsylvania. And he came up with 27 points, see 27 again, he came up with 27 points that they should look at to make sure that crude is being transported properly through the state. One of those was the fact that they want to make sure that if it is, and this is voluntary right now, that if a train is traveling through a population in Pennsylvania of greater than 100,000 or more, it has to slow down to 35 miles per hour. So they're reducing the speed limit in higher population areas. Another thing they're doing is implementing integration with PEMA, Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency, so that PEMA can regulate and get information quicker to emergency response resources. They call it some type of technological sharing so that everybody can get information very quickly about the rail transportation. The other thing PEMA is doing is inspecting all of the communities along the railway to make sure they have proper emergency response plans. So that if they do have rail coming through the area, they want to make sure that every municipality that is affected has a protection plan in place in case there would be a large-scale emergency. The increase in materials traveling through the country have proven somewhat dangerous, and there is no reason to believe that it's going to decrease. To protect our communities, we have to basically do everything we possibly can at this point. The bad thing about these major incidents, when you look back at Chernobyl or Bhopal or Texas City, Texas, where there have been large-scale evacuation, community impacts, sometimes it's too late until the effect has already occurred. Hopefully, by the implementation of the new regulations, things will be implemented over the next few years to make this really safer. Like I said, we know that it's not going to disappear in the near future, so we want to make sure that everybody knows what's coming through their backyard. They are prepared for an emergency, and the containers that are hauling them are the best possible standards for safety. Any questions?
Is there a UN number signed to this? I know when ethanol came out, that was a big concern. Is there no true UN number signed at that time?
Yeah, the UN number they generally use for this now is 1267. 1267 seems to be the standard, but the thing about it says, you know, it could have a flash point below 73 degrees, it could be well below 73 degrees, and it could be above, depending upon the mixture. They're also experimenting with different mixtures to get it to the loading points to the unloading points, that maybe if they adjust the mixtures, they make the formulation safer, so if there is a spill. Any other questions? Nope. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.